end, you can't put it on the right place here because there's no room. They have to have the stands to hold up the monitor. So a lot of the training is kind of in your mind. It's make-believe. You have to figure it out, and you don't really see it until you get there, and then you go, oh, that's what they were talking about. Here's a nice little rack. That's the wharf. It's a research facility for taking pictures. Basically, you pull the square off with the two yellow labels. You pull that off. You crawl in. You close the door. And you take pictures out of it. But that's the size of a rack. It's also the same size as the sleep station, so that's about what you do. Okay? Yeah, I was there for one of them. I was there for when they tried to fold one up, and then they ripped one. The one ripped, I was there for that. That was exciting. Cool stuff. Yeah. Let's see. We have an air-bearing floor right here. Sometimes we have heavy stuff to throw away. I don't know how much you know about my expedition, but I threw away 2 pieces of junk while I was doing spacewalk. I just tossed them into space. And I practiced here on an air-bearing floor so it would simulate weightlessness in 2 dimensions, X and Y, right? So it slides. So I got in my spacesuit and I laid on my side and I went,
whoop! Good catch. Oh!
Gravity. I had it, yeah. Gravity. I hate it except when I'm pooping, then it's okay. So we have all these different mock-ups. This is a trainer right here. When you walk by the blue stairs as we go out of here, take a look between the 2 hatches.
Can you go up on the shuttle? Do you sleep on the shuttle? Or can you sleep in the station?
Yes and yes. You can sleep on the shuttle or the station once you're docked. But you have to get the commander's permission on both vehicles, right? Because if everybody goes and sleeps in the station, the shuttle's left abandoned, that's not a good thing. So Dex, Commander Poindexter usually slept on the shuttle. The ladies, at first, everybody slept on the shuttle, and then when we docked, Rick and I immediately went to the airlock and set up shop, because that's where we're going to be from day 4 to day 10. So it made no sense to move our clothes all the time. We just put them there and left them there. And then Noko liked to sleep in the gym. Fancy that, right? And everybody kind of moved around. And then they'll tell you if you can't sleep somewhere. Like you have to have enough airflow for your face for enough people, right? So in that, where I ate the M&Ms and read the book, only one person slept in there because at that time there was only enough air volume to circulate for one guy to sleep. You know, if you have too many people in there and you're all breathing carbon dioxide, that's a bad thing because you have to be able to move it out. Okay?
Did the Russians smuggle any vodka on board, or?
Not that I know of.
Is there actual thermostats? Like, are there thermostat wars, or what? How's that?
No, the Americans go to their computer and we dial in the temperature and hit a button, and then we call the ground and say, hey, we just changed the temperature. But you have data and telemetry, but it's a little more sophisticated. The shuttle's more brute force with a big old lever arm thing. You set the knob and this lever goes, and it's supposed to hold temperature, but it didn't work very well for us. We were either freezing or burning up. No, none of that. Okay, let's go. Who's the apparat or something like that? I forget. But anyway, you live in the phone booth. Everything you do in the Soyuz, it's a rescue capsule and it brings you to the station and from the station. And especially when the shuttles go away, that's all there's going to be. Right? So you climb in. When you're on the station, you need to leave. You climb into the phone booth. And in the phone booth, when the guys on the ground tell you it's time to undock, in the phone booth, you'll put on your uniform, your spacesuit, and then you'll crawl into the Volkswagen Beetle. You'll close the hatch to both, and then you'll undock both pieces together, and then eventually the phone booth separates and goes and burns up. Okay, so imagine 3 adults, 6 foot tall or better, maybe 185 pounds, sitting in the front seat of a Volkswagen Beetle with the moonroof open. And that's what that is. And if you look right through here, you'll get an idea how small it is. You actually sit on your back in the fetal position with your knees up in your face. In 0G it's not so bad, but I didn't like it in 1G. It was kind of painful. They also make you, when your suit, they custom make your suit for you, and they have to do a pressure test. And the pressure test lasts 2.5 hours in the seat, folded up in the fetal position. I did not like that day. I'm glad I survived it, but I did not like that day. It was very painful. It like sliced in the back of my knees because I'm a pretty big guy, and I just fit in the envelope that allows me to be a Soyuz crew member. If you're too tall, like you wouldn't fit. So they would say you can't fly on the Soyuz, therefore you couldn't fly on the station because that's your lifeboat to get home. It takes 3 people to get it. Holds 3 people, so now we have 2 on board, so we have a total of 6 crew members. We have to be able to rescue everybody. Otherwise, we'd have a huge rock, paper, scissors fight on orbit. Maybe a bloodthirsty coup or something like that. Please pass on through. Oh, till I have to leave, right? Okay.
How was your Soyuz landing?
I didn't land in a Soyuz. I went up and down on a shuttle. And I rode in the Soyuz when we relocated it. We moved from one docking port on the bottom of the station. We undocked, we floated around, we turned and came up and docked into the back end. All that took 18 hours to do all that. Well, the flight was 20 minutes, but sitting at the boarding, getting your boarding pass and sitting at the gate was another 16 hours.
No priority boarding.
We had a little bit of food we brought in on the Soyuz in the telephone booth, and then we changed into our garments and we sat in there. It wasn't bad. Once we got into our suits and did it, it wasn't bad. Some kind could be a record. Could be. If I'd have thought about it when Endeavour docked on 118 in August when I was there, I'd have pooped there too, but I didn't think of it. So anyway, questions, comments? Yes.
Your valves change when you get up there, like
oh baby, yeah.
Oh baby.
Well, I found the American food gives you lots of gas, which is not a good thing in a very small environment. But everybody has gas, so you know it's not like.
So it's kind of funny.
Well, for about 5 minutes, and then it gets old. The Russian food I liked a lot, but what happened was I got really used to eating for 5 months the Russian and the American stuff kind of in a combination. I probably ate 2/3 Russian and 1/3 American. So when I came back to the shuttle for my last 2 days to come home and I started eating shuttle food, it was pretty noticeable to me. We'll give you this if you give us that, or you do this. If you want to fly your guy, you got to give us this for 6 months, and then this and that.
A lot of give and take.
And it's very confusing, and it's way Expedition 15. And you can find it. I was in the Houston Chronicle on Halloween Day in 2007. I was the only guy that dressed up and I wore my cape all day long. And it was very cool. I floated around in Node 2. I was undoing bolts while they were all doing some silly EVA to save the station. I was in there. So I put my cape on and I floated around and I called down that morning and I did my impersonation of Dracula and Dr. Frankenstein and Igor. And then one day when the Huntsville called, I got the wave file of Lurch from the Addams Family going, "You rang." So Huntsville called me and I hit the button and they get, "You rang." I thought that was pretty funny, but I don't think they did. See, you know, it's life on station. I lived in space. I didn't just go to work in space. I lived in space. And that's, to me, is very cool. I got to go this next time and I got to work in space, but I've already lived and worked in space, so to have both experiences is very cool for me. Shuttle's a lot easier, training and doing it. So now I'm back on the ground. I haven't been back 3 weeks. There's another flight up there. Nobody even knows I went to space, right? Because now it's all about the guys that are up there right now. And that's another different aspect of flying in space, right? You get all this build up and you fly and you're on the top of the world and you come home and you land and then it's over.
Well,
yeah, well what do you do next, right? And it's very strange. It's a strange feeling. Yeah.
Well, Clay, you're our Superman, so
well, thank you. That's why I tweet.
Yeah.
But what well, you know, I'll tell you, when I was up there the first time and I first flew over my hometown and I saw my hometown, I cried. Yeah. I had, you know, I'm an emotional guy. Most astronauts are steely tough. Fighter pilots. Nothing, you know, like, they would never show emotion, but I tell you what, I saw it and I just broke down crying. It was that emotional for me to see your home from 215 miles above the earth. It was just